Bear Grylls, Chief Ambassador World Scouting here, just to say welcome if you're joining us live for this. This is just going to be a chance for me to give a few tips on how to light fires. And all of us who are scouts know that fires are an essential part of our training. And there's so much we can do with fire, and it's such a big part of community historically and still to this day. But I wanted to give a little fire lighting lesson to a great scout. We're going to welcome in now Santiago. So Santiago, are you there, my friend?
Yeah, Bear, how are you? How's everything there?
Hey, good. Nice to see you. So, and you're from Colombia?
Yes, that's right. And also, first of all, I gotta say to everyone that please do not do this in home without an adult supervision, okay?
Okay, there you go. Santiago is absolutely right. Yeah. So here's the thing about fires. First of all, fire allows us to do so much. As adventurers, as survivors, it allows us to deter predators when we're out in the wild. It allows us to boil water so we can survive because water is king. It allows us to cook food. It allows us to make tools. It allows us to create weapons. So fire is vital for the survivor. It is also very important for community because around fire we sit and we talk and we stay warm and we share experiences. And as Santiago would know, you know, as scouts, we spend a lot of time out in the wild sitting around campfires. Santiago is also right. You have to be very careful with fire. Never do any of this stuff inside. Keep it for outside. Preparation is key for fire, not only for safety, but also in how you create fire. I've just been traveling in the States, and obviously there's been so much forest fire, crazy damage there over the last few months. So if you are camping outside as a scout, you have to be an example of responsibility about protecting the wildlife and the wild places, and especially careful with your fire management. So having said that, I was going to give you the rapid version of the key to creating fire in the wild. The first thing to remember is that a fire will die without every one of these three things. Let me get this for you. Let me make it visual. There we go. Fire triangle. You need fuel, you need heat, you need oxygen. And if you don't have any of those things, starve a fire of oxygen, and you can have all the fuel in the world and it will die. You can have all the fuel and all the oxygen. We've got fuel and oxygen here, but there's no fire. So you need heat. And heat, there are different ways to create heat, to create fire. That's why you have friction fires. That's why you have bow drills. You know, it's all to create heat. So always remember your three things: heat, oxygen, and fuel. Never starve the fire of any of those. Good preparation in the beginning is really important. Have a good base for your fire. So if you have wet ground, you have to build your fire off the ground. You want to have a bit of airflow to be able to come underneath the fire. When I say preparation, it's really important to have good different sizes of wood. So you have your tinder, you have your kindling, and then you have your more solid things like logs. But you can't go straight to that. You have to go tinder, kindling, logs. It is worth doing the work to really prepare good kindling. Good tinder, because that is, I always say, a fire is like your children. If you look after your children when they're small, they will look after you when they're big. So the time to protect the fire and really work hard is when it's small, on that tinder and on the kindling. What can you use for tinder? What's a good thing to start a fire with?
Like, well, here in the camps, we use like a very dry leaves from the
Very
trees.
good, yeah. Perfect. What else could you use?
Well, I don't know, paper.
Paper.
If we have it,
paper.
we can use paper.
Yeah, if you have it. So anything really fibrous and thin and dry and flammable. This morning we're going to use a little bit of cotton wool like this. You see this stuff. And this is a good thing to train with because it you can create it's kind of light grass, you know, really dry grass, really thin fibers. But again, you get a lot of this sort of stuff in nature as well, and you'll get the little bits of fluff inside, you know, flowers and dried things, and you know, anything really thin and fibrous like that. Bird's nests, you know, really good. So again, kind of recreates like a mini bird's nest, I suppose. So like that. So we're going to start our fire with that. Kindling is really important as well, because once you've got your magic tinder ready to light, whether it's your bird's nest or what dried grass, whatever it is, it's not going to burn for very long. It might only burn for 10 seconds, but you've got to use all that energy and that heat and that fire to then get the next part of your fire going. And that's why you're kindling little bits of sticks. And I always say you want a stick like the size of your little finger, you know, longer, but that thick, you know. And when you break it, it needs to sound like a fire. So you get that crack, yeah, you know, that sound. But if it's green and it just goes, yeah, then it's no good for a fire.
That crackle means that it's perfect to start a fire, right?
That means it's perfect to start a fire. You want dead wood because you don't want the moisture in the wood. So green wood is bad, okay? So, and then to start it, what I'm going to use today is this, okay? And it's, I'm sure scouts, you would have seen this lots. It's a fire striker. And you have this metal rod and then a striker, and it creates sparks like that. The great thing about this is it will work even when it's wet. A lighter, when lighters fail, you know, they just fail many, many times. When they get wet, it won't work. Matches, they fail when they get wet. This, I always have this, and you can have really small ones of this as well, and you can just keep it tucked away. And even if it's wet, it will create a spark, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to use this to light the cotton wool. Where can we see it? There you go. You can see it there. And again, this is quite a clever one because this has the actual striker bit is just there, but the silver bit is all magnesium. And you can scrape this off. And this is again highly. In fact, I'm going to put this in here. And again, when this is this, you're going to be able to see this. No, let me turn it that way. Hold on. You're going to be able to see. Here you go. So we can scrape lots of this stuff off, and then we'll bring it together. And so if you don't have this in the wild, well, first of all, let me show you lighting this one so you can see how easy it is. If you've got the right tinder and a fire striker, you're going to get fire, you know. The only reason this isn't going to work is if you crush it up too small into a little ball like that, and then it's not going to light. The reason is it doesn't have enough oxygen. When you open it up, you allow the oxygen to get to it, and it will light. So let's show you this one to start with. Okay, so we have fire there, okay? Super easy. Again, the mistakes people make with this is that they sort of doing it like this and they knock their little tinder over. You're much better off keeping this still and just nice controlled movements into it. So that's with the cotton wool. But let's check this magnesium out. So you see this tiny little bit. You make a nice little pile of this. So here's just these metal shavings and no cotton wool. And that magnesium burns really hot. It's hard for you to see it, but that's really smoldering, super hot there. And then the most potent mix you can do is to put that together with the cotton wool. So maybe you've got some cotton wool. This is still burning there, and it creates like a little ember. But if you've got cotton wool that's maybe wet, or your tinder is wet, and you mix some of this magnesium with it, I'm going to do a final bit of that while we're chatting. You can see this. So there you go. But I think the main thing to remember is look after fires when they're small, you know, and have good preparation. So when you've worked hard to get this initial little flame, you've got kindling ready to put on top of it. And then when your kindling's going, you've got other fuel that's a bit bigger, and eventually you'll get to that stuff. But as you know, you can't go straight for this. You got to build those fires up steadily over time. And remember the fire triangle: heat, oxygen, and fuel. You know, you need all three of them. And be safe with your fires, as we talked about. So, fire triangle, good preparation, and good safety. Santiago, yeah, go on.
In this case, the magnesium will be like a coal. Like it keeps the fire burning, right?
It will just help you light wet tinder. So okay. It's not going to be, coal is going to burn for much longer. This is still burning there. It burns super hot, and will just help. It's just a great way of getting, if your tinder is being difficult to light because it's wet or whatever reason, you know, having this really helps, you know. And actually you can start a fire without any tinder just then with that magnesium. So I suppose this comes like this in case you don't have any tinder, but really there is almost always tinder around. You know, you just have to be resourceful, and you have to, you know, just look hard and be smart. But dried bird's nests are great.
Cool.
Any other questions, Santiago?
No. I think that no.
Awesome. Well, listen, just to say, really nice to meet you, and do pass on lots of encouragement to all of your scouts, and say hi to all of them, and to all of you in World Scouting watching around the world. Well done. Huge respect for all you're doing. Keep living your adventures. Keep your friends close, you know, keep developing those friendships. Keep developing those amazing life skills that scouting gives you. And keep serving people in your community, because you are such a shining light, just like Santiago, all of you guys watching around the world as part of scouting. You're shining lights in your communities. People look to you for friendship and for inspiration and for help. And as scouts, as Santiago knows, we always try and give those things, always try and help people.
Thanks a lot, Bear, to take this time to share with us, to share with all of us in JOTA-JOTI, to share with us your knowledge and your time. And we're so honored to be with you here. And thanks a lot again.
Oh, you're amazing, Santiago. Keep going, my friend. And all of you, thank you. Keep scouting. Never give up.